Okay, I'm going to show you how to solve multi-step problems with fractions and mixed numbers. So first of all, multi-step problems is going to involve more than one operation. The four operations of math: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So a multi-step problem is going to involve more than one of these operations. So you have to know, first of all, how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide fractions. When you add and subtract fractions, you must have a least common denominator. When you multiply fractions, you just multiply the numerator, then you multiply the denominator, and then you simplify. And when you divide, you go through a process which is keep, change, flip, which really means you multiply by the reciprocal, and then you simplify. So those are the different processes that you go through the four operations for fractions. Now, number one, first you read it, and you say, an art student uses a roll of wallpaper to decorate 2 gift boxes. The student will use 2 1/4 yards of paper for one box and 9/10 yard of paper for the other box. The paper must be cut into pieces that are 1/10 of a yard long. How many pieces will a student cut to use for the gift boxes? Okay, here's how it goes. You read it once. You start to recognize what information you're going to have to use. But the most important thing is, when you read it again, you have to start understanding what exactly is going on in the problem. So let's read it again. And while I read it, I'm going to take out the information that I need to solve the problem. There's an art student. He used a roll of wallpaper to decorate 2 gift boxes. Okay, so we have one art student who's decorating 2 gift boxes. The student will use 2 1/5 yards of paper for one box. So to decorate this, he'll use 2 1/5 yards to decorate the first box and 9/10 of a yard of paper for the other box. So right off the bat, this box is much larger than this box. That's obvious. Then it says the paper, in order to decorate it, must be cut into pieces that are 1/10 yard long. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the paper into strips of 1/10 yard long. And the question is, how many pieces will the student cut to use the gift boxes? So each strip is going to be 1/10 of a yard long. So now, to really understand what is happening, there's a student. He's got 2 boxes. One is bigger than the other. He's decorating both. He's going to use 2 1/5 yards on the big one and 9/10 of a yard on the smaller one. To decorate these two, he's going to cut each strip into 1/10 of a yard. So that's what's happening. Now, the first question you have to say before he starts cutting strips is how much decorating paper he needs to do both boxes. So the operation that we'll find to find the total amount of wallpaper will be to add. So we're going to add 2 1/5 plus 9/10. Anytime you have a mixed number for any of the operations, turn it improper. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. 11/5 plus 9/10. When you add fractions, you must find a least common denominator. How do we do that? Multiples. You take your denominators, and you say 5, 10, 15, 20. And then you take the other denominator, 10, 20, 30. And you could stop right there, because the least common denominator is 10. So what I do is my new denominator is 10 for both fractions. and I take my old denominator, and I say, what did I multiply the 5 by to get 10? And that would be 2. Whatever I do to the denominator, I do the exact same thing to the numerator. Excuse me. That would be 11 times 2, which is 22. 10 times what gives me 10 times 1? 9 times 1? 9. When you add fractions, you just add the numerator. 22 plus 9 is going to be 31, and the denominator stays the same. This is an improper fraction. An improper fraction, how do I simplify it? I divide. So 31 goes in the house, come up here. 31 goes in the house, the numerator goes in the house. 10 goes into 31 3 times. 3 times 10 is 30. The one remainder now becomes my new numerator, so it's 3 1/10. So the answer is I need 3 1/10 yards to decorate both of my gift boxes. But I'm not finished, because I take my total, which is 3 1/10, and I'm about to cut them into equal strips of 1/10 of a yard. So when I have a total of 3 1/10 yards, and I'm going to cut them equally into strips of 1/10, how many strips am I going to need to decorate both boxes? Just like any other operation, I'm going to change this back into an improper fraction. 10 times 3 plus 1 is 31 over 10 divided by 1/10. I keep, change, flip. 31 over 10 times 10 over 1. What I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to simplify before I multiply. When I look at the 31 and the 1, because I have a 1 here, I know I'm in simplest form. But look at this, the 10 and the 10. Anytime I have the same number across from each other, they become 1s. Why? Because 10 divided by 10 is 1. 10 divided by 10 is 1. 10 is the greatest common factor of 10. So now I have 31 over 1, which equals 31. So what's required in this problem is to, first you have to understand what's going on in the question. The question, you have to read at least 2 times to understand what's going on. Then when you think about it, after the second or third time, you say to yourself, wait a second. Some guy, he's got 2 boxes. He wants to decorate them. This one is bigger than that one. So how much paper do I need? So I'm going to add up both boxes, how much paper I need for both. Once I get the total, according to the question says that I'm going to cut my wrapping paper into equal strips of 1/10 of a yard. So if I'm dividing my total into 1/10 of a yard, how many 1/10ths of a yard can I get out of 3 1/10? So that becomes division. When they give you the total and you divide it equally into parts, you get the answer, which is called the quotient, by the way. And the answer here is 31. So that's number 1 from your homework. I hope that this helps. Each question is done exactly the same way. I have number 2 here, but this one is basically what you need to know. If you have any questions, write them down and bring them in tomorrow. That's it.